call me crazy, but Sonic Rangers or Sonic 2022 or Sonic Frontiers, whatever you want to call it, is kind of sounding a little good to me right now. So some of you would be like, huh, what are you talking about? Why are you saying this? We haven't gotten any trailers. We haven't gotten screenshots, anything really at all. And this obviously is all coming from leaks that we've heard. For one, the pretty much kind of confirmed leaks from beforehand, and some new ones which kind of adds on to it. And they're seem pretty legit, if I'm being honest, and they're not 4chan leaks that someone just typed up. We have a person that actually, I think is part of Tails' channel, actually had like a person that was a game tester for the game in Japan come out and reach out to them and gave them like some time to ask some questions, and they made a big little 15-minute video. And if you guys want to check that out, you should watch that. But I want to say this game kinda is sounding a little promising. Now, I'm not trying to get my hopes super high up, or I'm not like known for being super negative or super positive. I kind of just go on how I'm feeling, how I'm vibing. And right now, it feels like a good vibe so far that I'm getting from this game, and there's some things I want to talk about that interest me about this game that come from these leaks. So one of the more interesting things to me that I've heard that I want to start out with is that the game is actually kind of like Breath of the Wild, which, you know, I'm not that surprised that the game's open world like Breath of the Wild. There's even like a little cliff sequence apparently where Sonic runs up to the cliff and you just see the big open world, but that's cool and all. A lot of games have been doing that recently, so I'm not surprised that, you know, they would do that as well in this game. And Breath of the Wild, I know, didn't invent looking over a cliff into an open world, but it kind of is like the thing with that game. But from what we know is that this game's open world is quite huge. It's actually really, really big, which is really cool because that means Sonic will probably have a lot of room to run around and then do cool stuff in the world, because Sonic moves fast. If you have a small world and Sonic's moving fast, it won't be that much of an open world for a character like Sonic because he can move so fast, and you know, it would kind of defeat the purpose. It's like, dang, I got through the entire open world in like 5 minutes with Sonic. Like, that'd be kind of crazy. I'm pretty sure in Breath of the Wild it takes 30 minutes to run, or not even run, just walk across the world, which is pretty crazy if you really think about it. And this leak also kind of reconfirms what was said earlier back in the January leak, is that the combat is apparently still button mashy, but Sonic does get more abilities later on, which allows him to do more things and probably will make it a little less mashy, I hope. And the thing is with combat in video games is it's not really ever the mechanics of the character that makes it mashy, but more so enemy design usually that makes it mashy. Let's say like Kingdom Hearts, for example. Kingdom Hearts, to do your combos, is usually just X, 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 or, you know, X, X, X square to like do like a finisher or anything like that. But that sounds mashy, doesn't it? No, not really, because boss design doesn't allow you to mash on certain bosses in the games. This is with like just have like super armor all of a sudden where you just can't mash on them anymore, or you need to be able to block this or dodge this at the right moment and then you get a punish in, or etc. So if combat is designed around Sonic not being able to just mash through enemies, or mostly bosses if there's bosses in the game like that, then I think it's not really going to be that big of a problem. I don't think normal enemies in games and action games really need to present that much of a challenge to like the player. I really feel like smaller enemies in action games usually just end up being fodder just to, you know, halt your progression as a whole. That's probably why they throw a lot of enemies at you in games through game design. So personally, I'm not too worried about the combat for Sonic Frontiers or 2022 because it doesn't seem like it's going to be that big of an issue. If it really is going to be mashy, let's be honest, we've dealt with mashy combat already in Sonic games with Sonic 06 with Shadow, or Sonic Heroes, just mashing A to just deplete the health bar, or B or whatever. And so, yeah, I don't think it can get much worse than that. And if it does, then man. One thing I want to note though is this leak also said that Sonic will be punching and kicking, so it won't just be homing attack spam. So I think that'll be pretty interesting to see. I wonder if it's going to be like light attacks and heavy attacks. So I just can't wait to see how the combat turns out for Sonic. And plus, the last time I think we saw Sonic actually punch was probably Sonic Forces, honestly. And before that, probably Sonic Battle or something. I have no idea. honestly, the most interesting part to me about Sonic Rangers or Frontiers is that there are boost levels in the game actually, and they're segmented off as special stages where you collect the Chaos Emeralds apparently. And this was actually said before in the January leak. And this is where I think it gets interesting because apparently the boost levels are not badly designed like Forces according to the game tester, and it's more like Generations and Unleashed like, which I think is pretty exciting. And it seems like there are locations in these levels that are reminiscent of Green Hill Zone and Chemical Plant. So it seems like Green Hill Zone makes a return in some fashion, and Chemical Plant, even though it's not exactly those two stages, but it's something like them. So they somehow make it into yet another Sonic game, which I think is absolutely hilarious. But since they're just special stages, and it seems like there's a theory as well that these stages are handled by like the main Sonic team. And if you guys don't know, people that worked on games like Shining Residence or Phantasy Star in the past and other action games are actually working on Rangers and probably the main part of Rangers, which is the open world and the combat. Whereas it seems like Sonic team may be working on mostly the boost stuff and probably Sonic's movement and whatnot. And that's just a theory. It's not confirmed or part of this leak, but that is something I have covered in the past, and I think it's worth bringing up. Something that may excite people is that this leak also talks about how there are no wisps involved in Sonic Frontiers or Rangers. And I think this is pretty good because it sounds like, you know, this game is going to be somewhat of a soft reboot, maybe, or just maybe moving on from all of the stuff in the 2010s that we've dealt with. I hope so, at least. And the fact that there's no wisps, I think is a good sign, because I think pretty much every single game after Colors have featured wisps. Colors had wisps, Generations had wisps, then we had Lost World with them, and then Forces with them. So not counting the Boom spinoff, but the main games, they all had them. Even Team Sonic Racing had them. So it's clear that that was the direction they had with Sonic, and that's a very specific type of Sonic they had in mind, and now apparently there's none of them. And this just seems like to be something completely new and different. So I actually think I'll take Azuka's word on that for now, that it will be a brand new experience. Now, I'm not going to give my thoughts on every little thing, but I will say that from what I'm seeing and what it sounds like, I think this is actually sounding kind of good. Obviously, we need to see actual stuff before we actually make judgment, and then the true judgment is when we actually play the game. But pre-thoughts and leak thoughts, this is actually sounding something I am interested in. I want to see what this game is like, and I want to say, I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not hyped. I'm hyped to see like something new, like something new for Sonic. Like if it's really true, I'm hyped on the idea rather than if it's, you know, actually going to end up good or not. I'm more hyped on the idea itself. And if it sucks, then, I mean, I've already been through it with a couple games in this franchise already. I'll just deal with it and play something else. But make sure you guys check out that full video going through all the details in the description below so you guys can understand more about this game. Because, again, I didn't want to give everything away from that video. I want, you know, the original credit, all of it, to go to that person because they took the time to reach out to somebody and put that together. So I don't want to take away from that completely, but I just want to give my thoughts on a few things. So if you guys can check that out, and make sure you guys subscribe and hit that like button and drop a comment. What do you think about, you know, the Sonic Rangers leak? That's probably true, along with the January leaks and stuff like that before the game was even announced or revealed and even had a name. But let me know in the comments below, and again, I'll see you guys in the next one.